Good morning, and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here with you on these stations every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. to bring you, the landowner, valuable information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. At the Clark Law Firm, I focus solely and only on landowner and oil and gas right owner representation. I have not, do not, and will not represent any gas or pipeline companies. I am here for you, the landowner. My office is located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, but I represent clients all across Pennsylvania: Greene County, Washington County, Butler County, Tioga, Potter, Susquehanna, Bradford, Wyoming, Lycoming, you name it. Anywhere in Pennsylvania, if you own land or gas rights in Pennsylvania, we can help you out. You can always contact me directly at 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. And don't be afraid of distance. You'll hear me say I've represented clients who have rights in Pennsylvania but have been located Alaska, California, Texas, Hawaii, London, Canada, Micronesia, anywhere across the state, and certainly even across the world. At the Clark Law Firm, I represent landowners for such items as gas lease negotiations, gas lease amendment, modifications, extensions. Very important issue right now with Pennsylvania landowners. Royalty deduction issues, unitization and pooling issues, surface use agreements, well pad agreements, issues related to damages or operations on the property, meter sites, compressor sites, and of course, pipeline right-of-ways or rights-of-way. I've done agreements with over 50 different pipeline companies in Pennsylvania, and certainly we can help you out regardless of where you're located. I'm going to jump into things. I want to remind everybody, too, I've been doing a show since 2010, and if you miss any of today's show, and we're early in it, you'll hear me say this often, but you can always go back to pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Whether you're looking for information or representation, go check out the websites. A lot of great landowner information available for you on the websites. And also, we have the radio shows available well over the last year of radio shows. And we've recently instituted the search button. So you can go, or a search tab, you go in, you can search whether you're interested, again, gas leases, extensions, pipeline agreements, compressor stations, buying and selling gas rights, whatever it may be related to oil and gas development here in Pennsylvania. There is absolutely a radio show on the site for you, as well as many other sections on the site. Blogs, I've been doing better. I've been doing pretty good with my blogs recently. I've done blogs recently on gas lease amendments and modifications and the impact of low gas prices, things that I've been talking about recently. I've done some blogs, so go check out the blogs. I hate to say my goal because I'm afraid I may not meet it, but I've done 2 new blogs over the last 2 weeks, and I will continue to do the best I can to keep updating the blogs on the website. You can also go to pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com, mail any questions, topics type things for the show, and we'll check them out. And if it works for the show, then we'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. All right, so you're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark. I'm going to jump into this because I have a lot to cover today. So I'm going to start with, I've been talking recently about these low, and a lot about it because it's so important. The low gas price and what that impact is for the Pennsylvania landowner. Obviously, low gas prices means lesser royalties. So if they're selling the gas for $1 a unit or they're selling it for $5 a unit, your share of the profit or the revenue generated from the sale of the gas, well, 12.5%, 15% of $1 gas is going to be 5 times lower than $5 gas. So that's a real easy example. However, we don't stop there because what we're interested in, we can't control that. What we're interested in is ongoing contracts, additional offers, additional agreements that are being presented to landowners. What we can control is not signing bad agreements that benefit the company. We can control that. We can control getting information, becoming educated, understanding your leverage, negotiating contracts, declining bad contracts, or decline and counteroffer bad contracts. It is key that you understand everything. And in this low gas price market, companies are using this very effectively. Very effectively. They're using the low gas price market to induce landowners to sign bad agreements. And I think it's counterintuitive when you really look at this. When you say, okay, gas prices are real low, companies don't have money, why would I sign an agreement today? Why don't I wait and let the companies recover some from this extremely down market, and then I may have a better opportunity in the future? As always, not specific advice for anybody, but this is general information to get you thinking that there's more than one way to think about these things. And sometimes it's going to be the best decision to move forward and go into an agreement or enter into an agreement now or in the very near future. But in a lot of cases, Tioga County, please listen, in a lot of cases, it may not be in your best interest to enter into a gas lease extension, modification, or amendment, pipeline agreement, or any agreement at the present time with the present market. You got to be thinking about this. So companies say, well, gas prices are so far down, it's a miracle we're even giving you anything. Who knows if they'll ever recover? Well, you better hurry up and sign now, or this is going to pass you by and you'll never get the opportunity. And by the way, I want you to sign for $2,500 to extend your lease for years, and that's not per acre, but a one-time payment. Yes, I want to give you $15 for a pipeline right-of-way agreement, lowest agreement that I've had anyone, or I've represented anyone to sign, I think, in about 9 years. So, well, actually, too, I think in my career, but I've been doing a lot of this over the last 7 years especially. But you need to be thinking about things. And if you're thinking about everything and you decide to do it and you know everything, well then, hey, that's a good decision. The key is we want to have you make good decisions, the best decisions you can for your situation, and not to be taken advantage of. And it's still happening. And landowners, we want to get this information because just because the gas prices are low, well, maybe that means you should wait. It means you should be talking to somebody and getting good quality advice for your specific situation. But think about it. Gas prices are low. Companies don't have money. Why sign now? Why not maybe wait? Again, if you have an offer, sorry, I got to do it. For a gas lease, a lease extension, modification, any of these things, pipeline agreement, quite frankly, anything. But if you have any of these offers, I'm doing these, and we've been doing a lot of them, and they've been very, very effective, especially for people, hey, you got this offer to extend for $2,500 maybe. Well, you don't want to spend a lot of money on an attorney. Who does? And I understand that. But you do want to get good quality advice and not make a real bad decision that you're going to regret for literally decades and future generations. So you don't want to make those bad decisions. So I've been doing these review and consults with a lot of different people where we just talk openly. You send me the lease, you send me the extension, you send me the agreement, the pipeline agreement, whatever it is. I review everything fully prepared. We have a conference call, or you can always come into the office. But we do this with people all across the country and go over everything, answer questions. Each and every question. Whatever question you have, it will get answered to the best of my ability, and we will explain the market. We'll explain different ways to look at this, the pros and the cons, looking at this at every possible level and what's right for you. And I say this all the time. What's right for you may not be right for the next person that I do a conference call and a review and consult with. It depends on your situation. Don't fall into the trap that what is right for your neighbor is right for you, because it is not the case. That is not the case. Don't fall into the trap of, well, my neighbor did this, therefore I should too. Gas company landmen love to go out to landowners and say, oh, well, Farmer Smith, he signed. He has 500 acres. He signed. He's really into this stuff. Here, we'll give you the same thing that we gave Farmer Smith. Well, that doesn't mean that Farmer Smith did a good job. He made us sign a bad agreement, sign for low money. Companies love to do that. They do it all the time. Very effective technique. And then the next landowner says, oh, well, I don't know old Joe Smith. He's really into this stuff. If he did it, it's probably good for me too. Well, first off, we don't know what he did. And we know what he did, but we don't know if he did a good job. And you're not going to know that. And even if we'll hear another thing. Well, this Joe Smith, he had an attorney. And so his attorney, this is what they negotiated. I'll tell you, I've seen attorneys do horrific work, in my opinion. Terrible work. So, we've seen attorneys do great work, but I've seen some do terrible work. So we don't know if Joe Smith had a great attorney who did a great job, who was conscientious, who worked his butt off or her butt off to get the best possible deal, or if it's one of the attorneys who just mailed it in and didn't know what the heck they were doing. They wanted to get some business. Oh, yeah, I read it. Oh, that looked good. Okay, yeah, go ahead. We can do this. And they send you a bill. That's not what you want. You need your own help, your own assistance for your specific situation. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm right here on these stations every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. to bring you the information that you need regarding natural gas development in Pennsylvania. Okay, so I'm going to circle back. I'm going to beat the horse one more time. Well, maybe one more time. I'm going to beat the horse just a little bit today. We're not going to spend a lot of time beating the horse, but we're going to beat it a little bit. I've been talking a lot about these lease amendments, extensions, modifications. Same thing would apply with the pipeline agreement. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you are approached to sign an extension of an existing agreement, that may be a golden opportunity to redo a bad agreement or to get out of a bad agreement. Do not simply extend bad agreements. You got to find out, okay, what are my options? Well, if I wait a little bit, maybe I can enter into a much better agreement. How bad is your existing agreement? I see people, I'll just say one more, I see people in Tioga County signing horrible gas leases who have signed really bad gas leases, who are extending these leases for a one-time payment of $2,500. Why extend a very poor landowner lease for hardly any money? A one-time payment. Why do it? Why extend a lease where the lease requires that the company pay the lowest possible royalty allowed by state law? Why extend it? Well, there may be times when you want to extend it, but that's where you got to sit down, you got to really look at it, get individual specific advice, but generally, think about it. Why would you extend a very bad agreement for next to no money? It doesn't make sense. You have to understand, though, how bad is the existing agreement, whether it be a gas lease or a pipeline? What is the market today? There are many things that you need to look at, but you simply can't go and just sign to extend a bad agreement. Please get more information. I know it's a broken record, but call somebody. But don't just sit there signing bad agreements or extensions to bad agreements, because those are your opportunities. Seize your opportunity. Seize it. Fix the mistakes. Rarely do we get a second chance. Don't miss a second chance. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. to bring you the information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. Remember, you can always call me at 570-307-0702. You can always go back. Check out pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. I'm here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m., and I'm going to be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on these stations to bring you the valuable information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I gotta tell you, I come in, I do the show, and sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm tired, and then sometimes I'm fired up and I have a lot of energy, and then there's times where I come in, I work. My joke is that, if I'm not on vacation, I'm usually working 7 days a week. I get up every day by 5 o'clock every single day, and I usually don't leave the office till at least after 6, and a lot of times after 7. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I love our clients. I love the things I do. I love that I get to help people. I love the things we get to work on. I love fighting for the little guy, if you will. I love fighting for the landowner. I love to try to even these tables. I love to see people get significantly more money through my services and the representation than what they would otherwise. Same thing with language and protecting them in the future. We get cards. We get such great feedback from the clients. Go check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Check out pipelineattorney.com. Check out the testimonials. I truly, and Marcia, we love what we do, and we love the opportunity to help you. So as I get rolling, sometimes, maybe I'm tired to come in, and I'm like, oh man, okay, another show. I'm not a radio guy, I'm a lawyer. But I've been doing the show now since 2010, so I'm starting to get a little feel for it. And it started, at first really stiff and writing things out. Now, I do a lot of winging it. So I appreciate you staying tuned sometimes, because, sometimes it is my therapy where I get fired up. Things happen during the week that really, we'll say, make me angry. I'll be politically correct there. We'll say make me angry. So I come in and I start ranting and raving. And then there's times, like I say, I say, all right, I'm going to do a real technical show. I'm going to really focus in. And today I have here in my hands, I'm holding a pipeline right-of-way agreement that I really wanted to just tear apart and explain why it's so bad. And if we have some time, I'll touch on it at the end. But what happens is I get talking, I get fired up on something else, and I say, well, gosh, this is something I got to get out there. This is information we need to get out there. So I said, hey, I'm not going to keep beating this horse so much. We'll give it a couple of whacks. And when I say that horse, I'm talking about signing leases, extensions, amendments, and modifications of existing leases in this very bad gas market. I've been doing a bunch of shows on this because I'm seeing people making horrible, terrible decisions because they don't have the information. Very bright, intelligent people just do not have the information. So if you're saying, gosh, I'm tired of hearing this guy talk about this, please understand that this is something that's impacting so many people. But at the same time, everything we do carries over to other things as well. Same thing, like, boy, if you have a pipeline right-of-way agreement that's expiring because they didn't do anything, and you weren't represented, or if you were represented, this is a golden opportunity. Get the heck out of it in almost all cases. First, do a review, consult, talk to somebody, get advice. This isn't specific advice for you, but generally speaking, you need to be thinking about, here is my golden opportunity. Because if you entered into a pipeline right-of-way agreement that's expiring, well, it might be 5 years after that you entered into it. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 6, 7, 8, 9. Jeez, you entered into an agreement back then. It's probably a really bad agreement that you can do a lot better with in future agreements. Again, do not make the same mistakes twice. Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's learn from the mistakes of others. I have 2 boys. I have an 18-year-old boy, and I have a very soon to be 21-year-old son. And I'm telling them, I've told them their whole lives about, let's learn from our mistakes. Let's not repeat our mistakes. And one of the even more powerful tools of learning, I believe, is learning from the mistakes of others. Let's not repeat the mistakes that other people have made. There's no reason that we have to make the same mistake that someone else did just simply because we never made that exact mistake. What do I mean? Stupid little example. Well, if you see somebody touch a hot stove and burn their hand, well, let's say, that other person touched the hot stove, burned their hand. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to touch the stove and burn my hand. Or do we say, well, yeah, they touched the stove and looks like it burned their hand, but I didn't, so let me touch it to see if it burns mine. Not a smart move. What I try to teach to my kids, and I think this is a part of intelligence but sometimes it's really tricky. You tell your kids, oh, don't make the same mistakes that I do. Well, they're going to have to. They're going to grow up, they're going to make mistakes, and we're going to deal with it. You did the same thing, I did the same thing, and we're going to learn, and we're going to teach, and we're going to try as much as we can to have our children not make the same mistakes as other people or yourself, but we have to recognize they're going to make the same mistakes. They're children. We're adults. You're talking about entering into contracts with a sophisticated energy company who has been doing it for decades and even over a century. They're very sophisticated. They know what they're doing. We can learn. We're adults. When we see that somebody else made a mistake by entering into a bad agreement, and we see how that bad agreement has hurt those people, that person, we see how the company has taken advantage of it, we can learn from that. We don't need to sign a bad agreement and be taken advantage of to say, oh, well, yeah, I guess I won't do that again. No, we can learn from other people. But then even on top of that, I see people, and I just hate to see it. I see people who were taken advantage of once very badly, and their agreement now is expiring, or for some reason the company needs to amend or modify it or extend it. And when the person entered into the original agreement, they were taken advantage of. They entered into a bad agreement. Well, here's your chance. This isn't even as complicated as learning from a mistake of someone else, taking that information and making wiser, more informed, better decisions. No, this is about learning from the mistake that we made, that you may have made, and saying, geez, I didn't consult with an attorney. I didn't have this reviewed. I didn't negotiate. I didn't know what I'm doing. Okay, here it is now. This is going to expire. Okay, where do I sign? You can't do that. Well, you can, but it's a really bad decision. Really bad decision. Let's learn from other people's mistakes and our mistakes. We have a body of information and knowledge out there. Let's use it. Let's do better. Let's sign better agreements, and let's be more informed. It's out there. Take advantage of it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm right here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on these stations to bring you the information that you need regarding natural gas development in Pennsylvania. If you miss any of today's show, you can go to pagasleaseattorney.com or go to pipelineattorney.com. You can check out today's show. We'll have it up and available tomorrow morning, as well as many, many hours of radio shows dating back well over the past year. And I've been doing the show since August 2010. And I would highly recommend, if you missed any of these recent shows, these shows are really zeroed in to your area. They really apply to your area more than other areas of the state. Really encourage you, do yourself a favor. Go check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Go check out pipelineattorney.com. As I say, this is going to be valuable for you, not only if you're looking for representation, but information. It's an information resource. If you're looking for representation, you can give us a call anytime, 570-307-0702. However, go to pagasleaseattorney.com, go to pipelineattorney.com, read the information there, listen to prior shows, become more informed and educated. Whether you call me or not, use it as a resource. We want to lift everybody up. We want to lift everybody up on the landowner side to do as good as we can for the best agreements we can for you, your property, your children, and your grandchildren. Okay, speaking of taking advantage of information, well, I've talked last week, I've talked recently about articles. These companies, they do public reports for their investors. They do conference calls. They put out information. You as a landowner, most landowners aren't following all of these different things, but we need to follow these things. We need to be informed, or you need to be working with somebody who's informed. You need to be listening to the radio show, checking out the websites, reading articles, getting good information, but you should also get assistance. Here's something I've talked about this CapEx cuts or budget cuts that companies are having, natural gas companies across the board. And I talked about Southwestern and I talked about Chesapeake recently. And I came across another article recently. I came across this article on March 22nd, 2016. It's by Keisha, Keisha. Last name is Bandz, Bandz. And its title is Southwestern's Increased Debt Load Induced an 80% CapEx Cut. Southwestern's increased debt load induced an 80% CapEx cut. All right, I'm going to kind of set the stage and then we're going to get into the article next segment. So I've been talking about companies having budget issues because they don't have much money, common sense here, but because the gas prices are so low. So the question, like I touched on the first segment, well, why do agreements now? Why, as a landowner, is this a good time? And you need to really be asking that question. But I've been talking about when companies are slashing their budgets, when they don't have money to spend, when they're not drilling wells, or they're drastically cutting down the drilling of wells, why rush into agreements today, especially if you feel that there's gas underneath your property in your area, and there may be other opportunities in the future. Not specific advice for anybody. My specific advice is get your own individual specific advice, but the general advice is you need to be thinking about these things. Rarely are things as easy and as crystal clear as the company wants to present them. So, okay, I'm up against the break here. But when I get back, I'm going to talk about Southwestern's increased debt load and how it induced their 80% CapEx cut from this article. But please, again, you may say, well, I have nothing to do with Southwestern. This is relevant for everybody because there's information from other companies too. I promise you, I don't just pick subjects that say, oh, this is only going to apply to Tioga County. This is only going to apply to Susquehanna. We're looking to, or Greene or Washington, we're looking to get information that's going to apply across the board. And I think you're going to find this article very interesting and valuable to everybody out there, to all listeners. Again, you're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m., and I'm going to be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm here with you every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on these stations to bring you the information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. Remember, you can always call the office directly at 570-307-0702. Okay, got a lot to get to here. So I'm going to quote a lot here. I want to read this article. And what I want to read, the reason why I'm talking about this is I've been talking about how these companies, gas companies, producing companies, energy companies have major budget issues in light of the low natural gas price and what that means to landowners. Because the companies don't have money, because they're having debt issues, is this a good time to enter into an agreement with one of these companies? Well, it's an individual decision. Individual facts are required, but this tells you, hey, I need to be thinking about these things. One of the areas that's really hot now is the Tioga County area where people are being approached to extend very company-friendly agreements. Don't simply extend your agreement. I don't care if you're in Tioga, Greene, Washington, Bradford, Susquehanna, Wyoming. I don't care where you're at. Don't just extend your agreement. That is a prime potential opportunity to redo everything. And maybe you decide to go ahead and extend the agreement, or maybe you decide to wait. Maybe you negotiate. Maybe you get more money. Maybe you say, hey, I'm going to just wait and I'm going to hope that this market recovers. But get the information and make a right decision. So here's this article, which I think impacts certainly Southwestern, is about them, but talks about other companies and gives you some perspective out there. So, okay, title again: Southwestern's increased debt load induced an 80% CapEx cut. Okay, by Keisha Bands, and this is from March 22nd, 2016. Go check it out. So it says Southwestern's energy debt load. Southwestern Energy is one of the primary victims of low energy prices, low gas, oil, natural gas. Things started to go downhill for the company. Sorry, guys, Western PA there. Things started going downhill for the company after it spent $5.4 billion to purchase oil and gas assets in the Marcellus Shale from Chesapeake Energy in 2004. The aftermath was a huge debt load combined with lower price realizations, which was a bad combination. So they spent $5.4 billion to buy assets from Chesapeake Energy. Well, a lot of those assets were purchased in southwestern Pennsylvania. So guys, maybe you're not dealing with this yet, but you're going to probably soon, because Southwestern's a player all across the state at this point. So what happened is they spend $5.4 billion, and now they take on this huge debt, and then comes the bad combination of low natural gas prices. As of December 31st, that's 2015, Southwestern had $4.7 billion in total debt. $4.7 billion in total debt, which is more than its current market capitalization of $3 billion. So it has debt of $4.7 billion and a market cap of only $3 billion. Probably not a great position to be in, or a great position to start spending a bunch of money. Its stock is down 65% year over year. So again, getting crushed here. Next heading here, assessing Southwestern's cash flows. Southwestern Energy held nearly no cash by the end of the fourth quarter 2015 and long-term debt of $4.7 billion. No cash, $4.7 billion in debt. Its cash flow from operations in the fourth quarter of 2015 was $353 million. And its capital expenditure, or what's called CapEx, capital expenditure, was $403 million, resulting in, okay, let me back up. So his cash flow was this is the fourth quarter 2015, was $353 million. That's the flow. Its expense, capital expenditures, its CapEx, flow in, 353. Expenditures, 403. These are in the millions. That results in a free cash flow of negative $50 million. Negative $50 million cash flow. Free cash flow, fourth quarter 2015. Does this sound like a company that's going to be offering you a good price to enter into agreements? Well, maybe, but maybe not. We need to look and we need to factor these things in. Why are they only offering $2,500 in areas to extend leases? Well, maybe because in the fourth quarter, maybe this is a factor, maybe not. Maybe it's a factor that they had a free cash flow of negative $50 million in the fourth quarter of 2015. All right, next heading, Southwestern Energy's CapEx. Again, capital expenditures, like a budget. 2016, Southwestern Energy expects to reduce its CapEx, or capital expenditures, by 80%. I've been talking about this recently. So, kind of cutting a budget by about 80%. That's an incredible slash of expenses of what you're going to expend. That means lesser offers to you, the landowner. Jump on these now? I don't know. Company not drilling. Why extend years when the company may not be doing anything anyway, when they have no money and they're in a bad situation and they're telling us they're not spending money? We got to factor that in. this article goes on. It says, Southwestern's CapEx cut is massive compared to its other natural gas heavy peers. So this is a 80% CapEx cut for Southwestern. They're saying is massive when you compare it to other companies. But still, other companies are making these substantial cuts tied to the gas prices. They're not bringing as much money in, so they're not spending as much money. When they're bringing more money in, they may be more inclined to spend more money. Chesapeake announced a CapEx reduction of 57% in 2016. So Southwestern Energy slashing its CapEx by 80%. Chesapeake cutting its CapEx, capital expenditures, by 57%. Cabot is cutting its CapEx by 58%. All right, now, major players here in Pennsylvania, Southwestern, capital expenditures for 2016, cut by 80%. Chesapeake, 2016, cut by 57%. Cabot, 2016, cut by 58%. I'm not saying this is specific advice, as always, but we need to be thinking about this. Why enter into certain agreements that aren't going to be developed or acted upon for years whenever companies have very little to no money that they want to spend on these type of agreements? Well, landowner gets nervous because company says, oh, gas prices are so low, better hurry up. It's a miracle you're even getting an offer. We'll probably be pulling these away. They don't have any budget. Well, I'm not saying it does, but many times these things come back and we need to calculate that. You need to be thinking about it. I have had clients who had offers who were $1,000, as low as $1,000. Those offers went away, and then 6 months, a year, whatever into the future, the company comes back and offers a significantly higher number. Now it gets tricky because a lot of people are very nervous, and understandably, hey, I don't want to take risk here. If things don't come back, there's a lot of different things you have to calculate. But I have a client right now that I'm representing that in the fall the offer was $1,000 per acre for a lease and 15%. In the spring, or what do we call it, the winter into the spring, the offer is as high as $5,000 and even a higher offer per acre and 18%. In the interim, that offer went away, and then it came back 5 times higher and a higher royalty percent. I'm not telling you that's going to happen everywhere. I'm not at all. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that those type of things aren't unheard of and that they do occur. And that's part of the evaluation process. Why extend a horrible lease for 2, 3, 4 years into the future so it's not going to be developed when a company has no money to pay you? First off, why extend a horrible lease? Second off, you have to ask yourself that question. Second off, why extend at a terrible compensation rate? Why? We got to investigate and look at all of these issues and not sign bad extensions. People are doing it every day. We got to stop it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark, the Clark Law Firm. I am here on these stations each and every weekend on Sunday, 8 to 9 a.m. But if you miss the show, go check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Check out pipelineattorney.com. We'll have today's show up and available tomorrow, Monday morning. We also index the radio shows by topic. So if you want to hear about pipeline shows, gas leasing, extensions, modifications, well sites, royalties, royalty deduction, any issue, go check out pagasleaseattorney.com. If you're looking about pipelines, thinking about pipelines, you got to go check out pipelineattorney.com. Become informed, educated. You want to call us, you always can, 570-307-0702. But if you don't call me, call someone. Call someone. I'm up against the break. I'll be right back in 60 seconds. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Once again, I am here with you, the landowner, every Sunday on these stations from 8 to 9 a.m. I have been doing the show since August 2010, and we're going to keep bringing it to you Because there's so much to talk about. Even in a down gas industry, there is so much to talk about. So if you can't join us every week from 8 to 9 a.m. on Sundays, you can go check it out. Check out the radio show. Check out the other information. The blogs. Been doing more blogs lately. Really encourage you. Check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Do yourself a favor. Check out pagasleaseattorney.com. Check out pipelineattorney.com. It's not just an advertisement for the Clark Law Firm and for me. It's also a lot of great information for you, the landowner. And you can go back and access all these prior radio shows dating back over the last year plus. So whatever the topic is that you're interested in, as always, the radio show is never specific advice, nor is the website for any individual, but it's to get you thinking. You will learn more, be educated, and make better decisions if you go and read and become familiar with pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Hey, you don't even need to read and sit back and listen. Check it out. Very good information for you, the landowner. Okay, I'm going to get back into this article. I want to talk some more about this article. I wasn't originally planning on going so deep, but I think it's important, and I want to close this out. So, okay, this article is written by Keisha, Keisha Bandz, Bandz, on March 22nd, 2016. I tweeted out this article as well. You can follow me at Doug Clark Law if you want to on Twitter. I tweet out articles, information that I think is interesting or useful to Pennsylvania landowners, oil and gas right owners. Came across this article. It's entitled Southwestern's Increased Debt Load Induced an 80% CapEx cut. CapEx being capital expenditure, essentially budget cuts. And in the article summarized earlier, we talked about Southwestern cutting their CapEx by 80%, Chesapeake by 57%, and Cabot by 58% in 2016. Why may that be important for Pennsylvania landowners? Well, it may impact, well, it certainly does, the money that companies have to spend to invest in not only drilling and production activities. Remember, I've recently quoted an article that we read about Southwestern saying that they weren't looking to spend a dime on drilling new wells. Well, we got to factor all of these things together. So if a company doesn't have money to spend or very little money to spend, and then on top of that, they have no intention of being active, why enter into an agreement as a landowner in this really down market? If you're in an area where there's gas and your lease expires, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's longer, maybe it doesn't happen, and that's where you got to really get good information. But the question is begged, why enter into an agreement with a company who doesn't have the money now and may improve in the future? Why enter into an agreement when gas prices are unbelievably low? I saw a check with Atlanta had a royalty at 50 cents per MCF. 50 cents. Why is now a good time to do this? And my point is, it's not specific advice, but you got to be thinking about these things. And that's why I've been saying about reviews and consults. People are being induced, persuaded to sign bad agreements, to extend bad agreements because of low natural gas prices. And I think it might, in many cases that I see, not saying all, many cases that I see, it's, in my mind, the exact opposite. The point is, you got to know your situation. And most people, just because you're not dealing with us all the time, aren't realizing all of these nuanced, subtle, small things that are very important that you may not even know of and may not even be thinking about, or probably are not thinking about. And look, I almost didn't do this today, but what can't you do? Well, you can't rely on the company landman to tell you what you need to know. You can't rely on them to talk about, oh, by the way, landowner, did you know we cut our CapEx by 80%, 57%, 58%? Did you know, landowner, that we're not drilling any more wells this year, or we're hardly going to drill any more wells, and if you don't sign this, then it's probably going to expire, and we may be paying more in the future, and it may be a good calculated risk in this case for you not to extend this terrible agreement, but to let it ride and look for new opportunities in the future. No. You cannot rely on the gas company, pipeline company, landman to advise you. It happens every day. People do it every day. Very bad decision. But people are electing to do it, relying on the gas and pipeline company landman. You can't rely on them. Why? Because the gas and pipeline company landman works for the gas or pipeline company, not you, the landowner. They work for the company. They're under more stress now than they have been, who knows, maybe ever, to try to get people to sign, to get your name on these documents, because in these budget cuts, in this low natural gas environment and climate, their jobs are, many of them are hanging on by a thread, many of them. So if they're not getting signatures and they're not getting people to sign bad agreements and bad extensions, they may be out of a job. It happens all the time now in this market. And, you hate to see people become unemployed, but the reality is there's a lot of pressure on people to perform or to get signatures, because if they don't, they know that they may be the next guy who's not going to have a job. And these jobs tend to be very high-paying, good jobs. Nobody wants to lose their job, no decent person. So they're going to be out there pushing extra hard. You need to understand that, and you need to be exceptionally informed and make smart decisions. Look, it's what they do. It's what the landman does in the matters of their own affairs. It's what the company people do. I talked last week, I think it was. I've been hired multiple times by landmen to represent them in their own affairs, by company representatives for oil and gas. I say I don't represent companies, but somebody gets a situation. I have too. Here's something very telling. More than once, gas company employees and gas company people working for the gas companies have recommended me and our office to other employees of the company, saying, oh, yeah, if you want to do a pipeline agreement and it's not involving the company they're working with, hey, you should really give Doug Clark a call. I hear, he knows what he's doing, or I've worked with him. This guy knows what he's doing. My point is that these landmen and company representatives, they go out and hire attorneys to represent them because they understand how the industry works. But we have our landowners out there being talked to at the kitchen table, buying into this landman. He's the one, she's the one. They're the ones. They just happen. You got the one that's all about the landowner. You got the one that's fighting for you or working for you. You happen to get the one. You didn't get the one that told the landowner, well, yeah, $25 an acre, 12.5% full deductions. It's never going to get any better than this. Oh, if you don't sign, we're going to steal your gas anyway. You better hurry up and sign. You didn't get that guy. No. You got the one landman who's going to tell you everything you need to know. He or she is the one person that's real landowner friendly, that they're going to be out there fighting for you. They're going to tell you, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And then they go back to the company and say, geez, oh, man, I thought the company would agree. I fought. I tried. I did everything I could, and we just couldn't get these terms. And you say as the landowner, oh, well, that land guy, that landman, he is a really good guy. He was really nice. He seemed really sincere, and he went to bat for us, and he wasn't able to get that. Well, if he couldn't get it, then nobody can. That's as good as we're going to do. Let's go ahead and sign. I can tell you time and 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 time again, time again, I see landmen tell landowners, oh, yeah, we can do this. Oh, yeah, that won't be a problem. That won't be a problem. This and this and that. And I meet with the landowner after that meeting, and I say, landowner, look, they tell you whatever you want to hear. And then they're going to come back, and I'll bet you on this, they never grant this. They're going to act like, oh, it's so disappointing. I can't believe we couldn't do it. No, they're not surprised. They knew they couldn't get that. They knew they wouldn't be able to get that term or that special thing that you asked for. They knew they would never get it. But they wanted you to have the impression that they could probably get it, they were going to be fighting for you, and if they couldn't get it, which they knew they would never get, but if they couldn't get it, well then, hey, look, they did their best and nobody can get it. That's not good advice. That's playing you. That's working you. That's manipulating you. You need to understand. I meet with landowners. They say, well, I want to do this. I want to do that. I say, look, here's the reality. Unfortunately, you're never going to get that. I could sit there and tell you, oh, yeah, we should go. We should try to do this, or we can try to do that, or we can do this. No, we don't waste time with that. We explain, look, I've done pipeline agreements, over 50 different companies. Not one company has ever agreed to what you're asking to that I've ever seen. I've reviewed hundreds and hundreds of more agreements. I've never seen that agreed to. So if you want to ask for it, we can, but it's probably wasting time, money, and effort by going through that process. Let's talk about what we can get. Let's talk about where the envelope is, where we can push it, what's meaningful, what's not meaningful. I can give you 10 addendums and none of them mean anything of value. Or I could give you 3 that are super important. So that's the other thing. Don't fall into a trap. And too many times, oh, I got 12 addendum. Who cares? All 12 may be what I call throwaways. I'd rather have 3 with substance, with teeth that are going to matter than 15 garbage addendum terms that they'll throw out and act like they did something for you. You need someone who's going to advise you properly and honestly and tell you what you need to know. You need someone who's working for you and not the company. You and not the company. That's what you need. Here I go. I said before, I didn't plan on going down this path, but I got a little fired up here. So look, the point is always never specific advice for any specific person. That's always where we're at. But it is advice about why you need to get more information. Educate yourself on your own. Go to PA Gas Lease Attorney. Go to Pipeline Attorney. Go to the Penn State website. Go to good, quality, credible sources. And then, before you sign anything or when you're presented, make a call, get some assistance. Whether you call me, which you can always do, 570-307-0702, or you call somebody else, call somebody. Okay, we're up against it here, but one thing I want to touch on before I go. These interstate pipelines, FERC, F-E-R-C, stands for Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, interstate pipelines, Atlantic Constitution, Penn East. If you are approached with a FERC line, it's the time to do something. I don't care when it is. It's the time to do something, if nothing else, to get good information. I've had several clients who have agreed to enter into and execute these agreements now. Appraisals are coming back from the company. This is a sensitive time. I highly recommend, once again, call me, call somebody, but get information. Bad decisions can easily cost tens of thousands of dollars. If you have an interstate FERC pipeline project, Atlantic Sunrise, great example, call. You can call me 570-307-0702. If nothing else, to do a review and consult, but give us a call. Learn more. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. I'm here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m., and I'm going to be back next week. Have a great week, everyone.